This is my dream bike, the 2021 Transition Sentinel, a long travel trail bike with modern progressive geometry that the internet just can't get enough of. It's got all of the latest and greatest components mountain bikers dream about, and by all accounts, I thought this would be the best bike I've ever owned. But I'm gonna be completely honest with you, I'm not in love with it. Obviously, it's not a bad bike. Plenty of people love this second generation Sentinel, but it's just not the right bike for me. To explain this, we first have to go back to why I built this bike to begin with. Previously, I was riding the Santa Cruz Hightower. I purchased it shortly after it's released, and it has served as my primary all-around trail bike ever since. It was the second version of Santa Cruz's versatile trail weapon with its lower link VPP design, and the bike proved to be incredibly capable on a wide range of terrain. There were so many things to love about that bike, but also a few limitations that eventually led me to look for something new. You see, I wanted a bike that could fit a wider variety of shock options, as well as one that was also designed to be coil compatible. I was planning a return to enduro racing after my downtime due to injury last season, and I wanted something that could handle rowdier terrain and larger hits with a bit more poise. I also needed it to be efficient enough to pedal for long days in the saddle. I spent a solid year debating all sorts of various frame options, all the while saving up money and slowly collecting parts for the new build. I had time to wait for deals, snagging parts whenever I could find them discounted, and I went through all of my old stuff to sell whatever I could to add to the fun for this new dream bike endeavor. It was also a year in which demo days were non-existent, and I didn't have the opportunity to ride most of the bikes that seemed to fit the bill. For the first time ever, I was relying mostly on reviews to help guide my decision. And by all accounts, the Sentinel gets great reviews. In fact, my feelings on this bike are certainly not popular opinion, so don't take the experience I'm about to share with you as gospel. It is what it is, and sometimes there's bikes we just don't personally gel with. Regardless, I've always promised to share my honest feelings with you all, so here it is for whatever it's worth. The Sentinel V2 has a solid list of strengths. It truly excels at all of the things I felt were lacking with my Hightower. It's got an incredibly supportive and progressive suspension platform that fits most available air and coil shocks. It eats up steep open tech with confidence, and it's incredibly stable at speed. It feels more like a miniature downhill bike that you can easily pedal back up the mountain. In truth, it pedals surprisingly well. I actually managed to put down one of my fastest times climbing up the infamous Clawhammer Forest Road in Pisgah without even realizing it at the moment. Sure, I had some initial struggles with the setup on this bike. I even made a video about it, which I'll link in the upper right-hand corner. There was a lot of new tech to work through, but I got things sorted and I started to get to know the bike's true character after a few short weeks. I was learning what this bike was all about, and it seemed like over time, things were going to click. Frequent trips to Windrock helped to dial things in, with some fine-tuning at my local test spots as well. And yeah, there's a video for that too. This bike loved to be ridden aggressively, and I wanted nothing more than to go fast and smash all of the things. It came alive at high speeds and had much more in common with my downhill race bike than it did with my Hightower's more versatile nature. But with those strengths came compromises. Its long and slack design does make the bike noticeably more to wrestle when the trail and corners tighten up. The Sentinel definitely rewards a very aggressive forward riding position, but even still, it just doesn't have the responsiveness found in slightly more conservative designs. For someone who rides primarily here in the eastern United States, more often than not, this style of tighter and technical terrain is the norm for our day-to-day riding. And while we do have some awesomely steep areas, our chutes often link together with tight catch berms that a shorter wheelbase and a slightly steeper head tube angle can offer more precision in. These steeps are a considerable part of, but not the dominant nature of our region. Our topography is extremely varied, and some versatility goes a long way to making a bike fit well for someone who's riding the full array of what the Southeast has to offer. The second compromise comes with more relaxed riding. Just as the bike truly comes alive at high speed, it also feels pretty muted when not pushing into the rowdy zone. It's not particularly playful and I found it to numb out the fun on more mellow terrain that can otherwise be found on a more lively and poppy platform. Now, none of this was a huge surprise. When I pulled the trigger on this bike, I was looking for something more race specific. My focus was on speed, stability, and hitting the bigger features found on the fast lines in our regional races with assured confidence. The Sentinel offers all of those attributes in spades. It truly delivered on those promises, but I did, however, underestimate how its compromises would work against my personal riding style. So I'm reluctantly saying goodbye to my first true dream build. The search for my next long-term trail bike continues, and I look forward to finding a bike that brings back that spark I'm looking for. I wish I could have clicked more with the Sentinel, but that's okay. It's just how it goes sometimes. It's still a rad design, and it excels at all the things it does well. We're lucky to have so many great bikes out there to choose from, and it's honestly a great thing that they're not all the same. So find what works for you and go out there and ride it. Please feel free to share your experiences or just roast me in the comments down below. I hope you found this video helpful or at least entertaining. So consider supporting the channel on Patreon, where you'll get access to exclusive content, early video releases, invites to group rides, and all of the things we want to share that just never make it to the channel. I'll pop a link to that down in the description below. You can also help by supporting the people who support the channel. If you're in the market for a new bike or anything else bike related, consider giving my buddy Sean over at M+1 a call. He carries a wide array of parts and offers the largest inventory of Ibis bikes, as well as Rocky Mountain, Cannondale, and Intense. He always takes great care of friends of the channel, so be sure to tell him I sent you. Well, that's all for today. As always, until next time, I hope to see you out on the trail.